Friday! Happy Friday, mighty peeps. I also apologize. Apparently, it's National Go Red for Women Day in honor of it is Heart Awareness Month, and I should be wearing red. So let's just pretend that I'm wearing red underneath my shirt to support all of those who need to be aware heart disease strikes women in ways different than men. Don't let it get you. It's gotten folks in my family. But you're here to talk about Trello, and we're here to talk about decluttering our brains. So, is that even possible? I've got so much in my head right now. I think I need to spend 30 minutes with my own Trello boards. Honest to goodness. I also need some dedicated desk decluttering time, and it is always a good time for that. Hey, friend. All right, Fran, you're going to pretend you're wearing red too? Absolutely. So, in fact, I've got a story for you. And this is, I'm transparent, I'm open, and I always share and tell you when I'm doing my own thing and I'm walking my talk or when I need to make a fix and I need to make a course correction. And I created the Kick Your Biz in Gear with Trello challenge because I wanted to get focused for me too, that I want to make sure I am consistent with my own content planning, that I am consistent with tracking, that I am consistent to meeting my own goals, and that I am consistent in getting stuff off of my desk because I am a combination digital and paper, digital and analog kind of person, and that may never quite change. That's okay. Different tools do different things and help our brains in different ways. I'm okay. I am here to support you with that. Although I am going to try and help us all break the post it note habit. There are great times when a post it note makes sense. Then there are times when post it notes don't make any sense. Case in point, I have a blue post it note here. It was on my desk. And I'm like, oh, I'm decluttering. I am talking about decluttering my brain and my desk today on video. I am removing this post it note. It clearly needs to get saved, and action has to happen on it. And I'm going to put it in Trello. And I'm looking at it, and I have no idea what on earth it's about. None whatsoever. There's like 2 lines of text on it, and I can make out the word E and WP, and I'm fairly certain I've written my own name. So part of this is a personal problem, folks. That's been known since I was like 6 years old. I have atrocious handwriting and I cannot read my own handwriting. I retaught myself how to write in all capital letters when I was in high school because my own personal script and stuff completely sucks. So now I'm sitting here looking at a post it note that had some degree of importance because I wrote the thing down, but I didn't immediately go put it in Trello where I could potentially save it or take action on it or do a brain dump with it. And now I have no idea what on earth this means. And I almost threw away the piece of paper and I'm like, nope, this is going to be a prop for the video because I don't want this to happen to you. I don't want you to have a desk or a computer monitor covered with post it notes, and some of them you're not even sure why they are still there. Why is that hanging there? Or worse, what on earth does it say? And part of me is hesitant to throw it away because it might have really been important. And the other part of me says if it was really truly important, I would have done something with it. So it's in the trash. Charlene, absolutely the dreaded post-it note. When you wrote it down, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. And now look where I am. There was another instance recently. I know I wrote something down. Look, there is a ton of consumer of psychology and studies that have been done that show that the physical act of writing something helps encode it in our brains, which is why I'm still part digital, part analog, kind of like Data from Star Trek. That's for Charlene. Throwing in a Star Trek reference. So I've got that mix going on there. So I knew, my brain knew that I had written the idea down. I wrote it down and I even kind of knew what it was about, but I didn't know where to look for it. And for those of you who maybe don't know, that besides having a marketing background, and I was a marketing and advertising executive, I have a master's degree in library science. I'm literally trained in how to find things. I'm like the human search engine. But I can't search my desk. I cannot use the computer. I can't use keyboards. I can't search and index physical paper that's on my desk, which means I'm going to be rifling through the file folders. I'm going to be rifling through the papers, which is another reason why it's great that I wrote that stuff down, but it has to get translated someplace where I can find it and store it later, which is actually part of my process. Some of the initial ideas, the brainstorming, the thinking, if they're just ideas, and it's not a project, and it's not a set of tasks yet, and it's not something that, it gets out onto paper, and then it goes into Trello where I can turn it into a task or a project or a checklist, and I can take action on it, or it goes in my content library board and I can store it, and it's there until I can take action on it. But here was an instance of something that I knew I'd written down. Okay, even more embarrassing. It was a goal I'd set for myself in the first quarter that I had mentioned in my mastermind group that I wanted to be held accountable for. And I didn't remember what I'd said. I knew I'd written it down. I knew I'd written down every other member of my Monday mastermind and what we were all committing to. And I had no idea where I'd written it down. Do as I say, folks, not as I do. So once again, a goal. Exactly. I think I vaguely knew because I was working on projects that were quite clearly tied to this goal. I just didn't remember that that's the goal that I'd said to hold me accountable for, because I was working on the Trello challenge, and I was working on the 4 weeks of coaching that are going to come after the Trello challenge. And so that was really important. Folks, it's another dreaded Post-it note. So this one has more writing on it, more details. Again, of questionable handwriting. But because it was a Post-it note, and it was stuck on my desk, underneath my legal pad, and under the red file folder where my current client notes are. It was totally out of sight, out of mind. That is not a good use of a Post-it note. Post-it notes are so you can write it down really quickly, take action on it, do something with it, crumble it up. They are not meant to be long-term storage. Yes, there was a ton of writing on there. Folks, that is not how Post-it notes are supposed to be used. That's not its intended use. There's a better way. There's a better way. I know that Trello is the better way. For years, Evernote can also work. The notes function on my phone can work. It works better if I then send those files to Trello, because Trello is the app that I'm going to touch on and that I'm going to open probably every day, because it's the tool that I've come back to over and over again since 2014, when the nonprofit that I helped found Trello and used it to plan a virtual event with people who were spread out all across North America. And me getting back into using it and using it consistently, and to use it for both project planning, like the project and the goal. For all those who are wondering, now I'm going to say it publicly here on this video, and you could all hold me accountable, and now I don't need the Post-it note, is that I wanted to launch ongoing coaching. For the folks who've had coaching with me and we've worked together for 1 hour or just 3 hours, but who want more of me, because apparently there are those people, I'm going to create an ongoing coaching program so you can have more. That was the goal, is to have the sales page done for that before the end of the first quarter. That's what my Post-it note says. Now that's what I've said to you. Now that's going into Trello, because now I can translate that into Trello into a project, and it will have a checklist with things on it. And I'm going to do that during my own challenge that starts on Monday, the Kick Your Business in Gear with Trello 10-day challenge. Because the challenge is for those folks who are both new to Trello and aren't sure where to start. I'm giving you 2 boards. You're going to even copy them from me. You don't even have to start from scratch. You get to copy them and use them to get started. And for those folks who've maybe played around with Trello before, that's the link to the challenge. I'm going to be in there cleaning up my own stuff. I'm going to be walking my talk, getting the Post-it notes off my desk, getting the papers off my desk, anything that I haven't been able to access because I can't search for it, get it up in the cloud so that I can find it and I can search for it, and I can sort it out in ways that make sense for me. So another example that came up, for why we might want to use Trello. I'm teaching folks about teams and the workspaces area that's inside of Trello. So you might have I had to create a personal work team in my Trello account to show you how to create teams. And then I copied a template board, and it was about vacation planning. And that, yeah, say you decided you and your girlfriends are planning a trip and you've got a camping trip, you could use Trello and invite your girlfriends just to that one board where you're going to lay out, here's the restaurants you want to visit, here's the campsites you're going to consider, which national parks are you considering, which state parks are you considering, what other sites do you want to see when you're going to go off and do this, here's everything you need to take, here's who's in charge of the tent and who's in charge of the packing list for the food, and oh my god, here's everything we've ever wanted to cook over an open campfire. Yeah, you could use Trello to plan your girlfriend glamping camping trip. We could also use it as small business owners to plan our social media content and use a Trello board for that. So I'm actually going to screen share, and let's hopefully that I picked the right one. And let's see, there we are. There's boards in Trello. Yay! So there we are. That's one of my Trello accounts. I have a secondary account that I opened so that I could show you the entire process of opening a Trello account from scratch. Didn't have 7.5 years worth of Trello boards in it. And I wanted to give an idea. So like the whole brain dumping thing, the decluttering, the getting the ideas out so that we don't lose them on our desks somewhere is this. This is one of the boards that I'm going to share. This is one of the boards that I'm going to copy with you. If you've ever looked inside of Trello, you're also wondering, what is going on here? Why are the cards and stuff stacked on top of each other? Because that's an extension that works just in Chrome so that you don't have to endlessly scroll left or right, which takes some of the irony out of Trello being a board where you move things from left to right for some of your boards, not all of them. But this board is designed to get the stuff out of your head and get it up into the cloud so that you can figure out what actions are you going to take on it. And this is one of the very first action steps that I'm going to give in the challenge that we're going to talk about when we have the coaching call on Monday afternoon, that I just shot a video for, going over how to make sure that you can copy a board, that you can copy this, the now, next, someday board. And then you can make this your own. You can make it your own color. There's additional sample cards and checklists and some bonus stuff in this board. Like I've got a couple of bonus checklists in here on everything you need to do to edit licensed content to make it your own. Here's the checklist on how to do it. Oh, here's the blog post promotions checklist. Here's all the steps you might be taking to make sure that you're sharing, promoting, and making that blog post visible. Here's the checklist on how to make sure that you're repurposing your content, which was the topic of one of our other videos this week. You don't have to think of that from scratch. I put these in the Trello board and you get to copy it. But somebody asked me, what's the best way to get started in Trello? If you haven't explored it, or you haven't used it in a while, or you've been feeling lost after the last month and you want to do the whole kicking your brain and your business into gear, I'm advocating starting here to get the stuff out of your head, to get the Post-it notes off of your desk, to get the pieces of paper, to even get the files. I worked with a client this week who readily admitted that, look, her system was working for her, but she realized it didn't work for everybody, and she had all kinds of stuff saved on the desktop of her computer. She knew what was what and where those things were going. Cool. It made my brain melt, but it was working for her. But I might advocate that she takes 30 minutes a day in the first week of the challenge to take the documents that are there and the ones that she needs to be taking action on, that free gift report that she's editing, the idea she has for the next free gift report, that other picture that looked like that was going to be the next blog post that she was working on, get them into Trello. You can link them. You can add a copy of the file, link to a Google Drive, link to Dropbox. Get the stuff out where you can then do the really next important task, which is that because of the Chrome extension, it's shifted these around. This should be over here. This is the brain dump. This is where everything goes first. Brain dump it all out. Every idea gets a card. Then, in another 30-minute segment, maybe on Tuesday, maybe on Wednesday, there's an idea. There's an email prompt for this. Start sorting things out. Start moving things to the now list, the stuff you're going to work on in the next 30 days, versus the next list, which means it's coming up, but it's not immediate. It's not, it's 60 to 90 days out, maybe 3 months to 6 months out. You decide what is now and what is next for you. And then you've got someday or later. And let's face it, those are the ideas. You have them. It's a cool idea. It's a course you want. It's a course you want to offer. It's a podcast. It's a book topic that you dream of writing. It's a vacation that you dream of. Put it there. It's in the parking lot. You haven't forgotten about it. And when it's time to take action on it, move it to the appropriate list in the column. Awesome, Charlene. I love it if you share it about the challenge. But the ideas are now out there, because the other thing we were talking about with a group that I was on with this morning is if you've done this and you've done the brain dump and you start dragging and dropping things from, okay, here's a brain dump, and maybe I'm going to write an article. I'm going to share an article. I'm going to share an article that's already been written from Social Media Examiner about what is Clubhouse. So maybe I'm going to put it over here under the now. And the blog post Zoom tips, that becomes someday, because somebody else has probably already written something better about it. Because here's the thing. If you start doing all this dragging and the dropping and the card sorting, which is a really important task in and of itself to get clear, if you find yourself looking and there's like 10 or 11 cards down here on the now list, you've got problems. You can't do it all. You literally can't do it all, folks. You can't do it all right now. Some of that stuff needs to move over to next. You need to prioritize. What are the 3 things that are going to sit here on the now list? And maybe over there on next, you're looking at 12 different things. And you're like, okay, maybe. Let's have a truth moment with ourselves. Seriously? Maybe half of those actually need to go to the someday pile. The someday pile doesn't mean never. That would be another list. If you want to add never to your list, add never. But let's be realistic about when are you actually going to tackle that? When do you have time and energy and the needs and the wants of your audience and your community to make sense of that? So this is one of the very first boards we are creating. When the challenge starts on Monday, you'll get the video, you get the email, we have the coaching call. We're going to talk about this on Monday afternoon. We're going to also talk about the other board, the board that I touch every probably single day. It's my library board. It's my content library board. Those cards and things don't tend to move, from left and right. I'm not dragging stuff on that board. There's an example. There's a sample one of those in here as well. This is another irony. Apparently, I've created a sample content library board like 3 times in the past year when I've been thinking about it or when I've been teaching it. And I keep finding samples of it in my Trello account. This is my teaching and my training Trello account. You'd know that because this board is a lot cleaner. My own content library board is enormous. And one of the things that I need to clean up is using color coding and labels to sort stuff out, because it's become the repository of every email idea that I think I might want to do, every social media, every Facebook Live that I have an idea to do. All of those discrete ideas are over there. But it's also where I have a list, for example, where I keep my offers. So I got the links to the sales pages and to the forms and to the discounts and the coupon codes for all of my workshops, all of my webinars, my email free gifts, my coaching, my one-on-one coaching, my 3-hour coaching, the coaching program that I still have to create. And then the other one that I'm going in and I'm copying those links to send either in an email or a Facebook message or a private message to somebody probably every day. I have the links, and some folks know because I shared about this earlier, like affiliate links. I talked about that in the video yesterday when Erica and I were talking about how we each use different tools for planning purposes. So any of the software, any of the tools, the courses, the programs, the licensed content providers, training that offers something that I think is useful to my audience and my community, whether they have an official referral or affiliate program or not, I have links for them so that I can easily copy them. And I'm not taking the 14, it's probably not 14, but it's at least 4 steps that it would take me otherwise to go log into my website, log into my WordPress dashboard, go get the links, and then go stick them into another document or the email or Active Campaign or drop them in Facebook Messenger. So they're all stored in Trello. Because the other really important thing is the Trello's over here on my phone. Trello's on my iPad. So if I'm sitting there at night and I got a message from somebody who was interested in continuing to work with me, a member of my group, needed a coaching call, and it was super duper simple. I didn't have to go to my computer. I didn't have to open a spreadsheet. I didn't have to open a Word document. I certainly didn't have to go to my website and the back end of my WordPress dashboard to get the link to book a call with me because it's in Trello. And it was super simple to switch between the apps on my iPad, between Trello, there's the link, copy it, boom, back to Facebook Messenger, boom, here you go, here's how to book on my calendar this week. Done. Seconds. I didn't miss an opportunity because it was easy for me to do. And that's what I want to help other solopreneur pals to do, to be set up to have this kind of easy consistency in idea creation and, more importantly, idea execution in their business and in your content and in your marketing this year. I want to be more consistent, so I'm dragging you along with me. So right now, the Trello challenges, you get the 2 calls per week. It's a 10-day challenge. It's an email that goes out every day. I am sending out at least 5 pre-recorded video tips that take you in through the action steps that we're doing and teach you something, show you something inside of Trello in between our coaching calls. Also, folks, if you're interested and you're going to be wondering what's going to be going on, people are going to be checking in, dropping their insights, and talking about the Trello challenge in my Facebook group, because we're going to have the check-ins and taking action and sharing their insights in the group. So I hope that both gets you excited. I hope you cheer on the people who are already signed up for the challenge. And it's all $47. And if you tell me via comment right now, because you're watching the replay or you're watching this on replay, that you want in, I will personally message you a coupon and you'll get it for $25, because that's how I'm feeling today. And for those who are wondering, I also finally got something to work in ActiveCampaign, and I use the conditional content feature. So I'm really deeply curious, actually, Fran, because I know you're watching and I know you're inside of the challenge. Did you see a PS or not see a PS in the email that I sent out earlier today that told you about today's video? I want to make sure it worked the way it was supposed to work. So I would love to have more folks join me in the challenge over the 10 days that are in February. And more importantly, that you continue the habit, because that's the other thing. That's why is it a 10-day challenge? So we build up the habit of checking and using Trello and doing our planning and being consistent and getting the ideas out of our head and into something that we can actually take action on, so that you'll continue that through the rest of February and into March and the rest of this year. Any questions? Yes, you did. And you wait, you got the email, the PS that said sweeten the deal? Uh-oh, something didn't work because you've already got the deal. You shouldn't have seen the PS. Now I have to go back and check again. Sometimes, I techie myself out of things. Charlene says, PS, I saw the PS. Charlene should have seen the PS because Charlene is not in the challenge. She should have seen the PS to tell her to get the challenge for the sweeter deal. So maybe it did work. Or maybe I still have some things to work on with inside of ActiveCampaign. That's completely separate from Trello, but there's a really cool feature called conditional content that if I tell it, it should show the content to some people, but not to other people based on a tag that is applied to them with inside of active content. Fran, it also might matter which email you read the email from, because you have 2 email accounts in my email system. One of them has that tag, the other does not. There's another thing. I'm going to go write down, not on a post-it note, not on a post-it note. I'm going to go inside of my Trello account and I'm going to leave myself a note for an action step that I need to take. And the action step I need to take is that with Fran's permission, I'm going to merge Fran's contact records. Because yes, Fran has 2 separate emails, and apparently loves the Mighty Marketing Mojo community and the Mighty Marketing Mojo emails so much that she signed up twice. So Fran is now giving me permission to go add an action step inside of my Trello to remind me that I'm going to merge those contacts inside of Trello. Inside of Active Campaign. The note to myself will be inside of Trello. So anybody who has any other questions, whether you're watching live or you're watching on the replay, please drop them in the comments. Let me know. Shoot me a private message. Shoot me an email if you want to know more about the challenge. I'm really excited for all the folks who've already joined me. I'm really excited to be doing it, honestly, doing it myself. There's some features that Trello added in the past year with being able to add additional colors to cards that I want to use so that I can, again, sort through, clean up, and organize my main content library board. I know that particular board does not have any colored labels on it. And I want to go in, for example, and decide, oh, all of these ideas I had, which one of my 4 key content or theme areas, the purposes of my content, that was another video this week, the purposes of my content, which one of those 4 or 5 areas is that idea under? Because then I need to know, are they all educational? Is everything that I've had an idea on about tools and software? No. Okay, which ones are about the how to do something? Okay, which ones are about planning? Okay, because it's going to help me start to see things, and then I can do, a little more dragging and dropping, which is what Trello is really so great at helping you do for planning and for organizing. So I'm really excited for all those who join in. I hope that you've gotten something from the content planning this week. Go back, if you haven't had a chance to watch the other videos in this series where we talked a little bit about why we're having plans, what kind of plans, what plans can do for us, where we talked about, wound up giving a master class on content strategy, about educational content versus entertaining content and awareness content. I talked about repurposing and simple ways to repurpose. For example, the different ways you can reuse a video, ways you can use PowerPoints and slides. We had a great chat yesterday with Erica Grant of Moms on the Grow, and we talked about how we each use different software and different tools, but that a lot of the same techniques apply. No matter what tool you eventually stick with and use, that I hope you got something from it, and I hope you learn. And that's what people have been saying about everything I've been teaching about Trello for the last year and a half, is that most of it applies to your planning and your business planning and your content planning, regardless of the tool you end up consistently embracing. So I'm really glad that you all thought that was an excellent session and that you've loved all the other videos this week. I hope you go back and take a look at them. They're going to be here in the Facebook group. And that I hope you cheer on all the other folks in the Mighty Marketing Mojo community as they participate in the Trello challenge with me. So I can't wait. I also have another guest. I have a guest coming on Monday. Another surprise guest coming this Monday in the group. So make sure you watch for that announcement as well. In the meantime, have a mighty weekend, everybody.